Hello.
Hey, we're
Welcome
here.
back. We're here. It's a
It's
it's
Dirty
a
Tuesday.
30 Tuesday, 30 Tuesday. Tonight we're
We need a
talking
theme.
about
Huh?
huh?
We need a theme for Dirty Tuesday.
We need a what? You
A
broke out. A theme?
theme.
30 Tuesday, 30 Tuesday. Back on our bullshit.
Per usual.
It's Tits Out Tuesday.
Yes,
Nikki is
Tits Out
clearly celebrating.
Tuesday.
Tonight, we're talking about Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was a huge hit. So I hope you watched it. It's an absolutely amazing movie, and the three of us love it.
Love. I can't
Mitra
get
looks
enough
like she's
of
gonna explode.
Oh,
it.
I literally like watched it twice today.
Amazing.
Yeah, I watched it with and without director's comment. I didn't finish the director's commentary, but I watched it again and was just like, all right, this is why I saw it so many times in the movie theaters and loved
Right.
it so much.
I watched it today too, but then I didn't get to finish.
Mhm.
But I've already seen it, I think, 3 or 4 times by now.
When did you first hear about this movie? Like, not even when you first saw it. Like, when did you first hear about it?
Um, I kept seeing people talking about it on social media,
Hmm.
and then like people I know were starting to go see it,
Mhm.
and it was just kind of like chatter from people I know and people on social media talking about how good it was and like how powerful it was and all of that. And then I was gonna go see it at a drive-in theater, but they were playing Top Gun, and I really wanted to see Top Gun.
Oh
So
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, so I ended up seeing Top Gun instead of this. And but then I was like, damn, I should have seen that one. It just sounds so good. And husband bought it so I could watch it.
Mhm.
And yeah. So yeah, it was just from social media mostly. Just people were raving about it.
Hmm.
Mhm.
When did you first hear about it, Mitra?
I actually, because I saw it when it was in the theaters, like when it first came out, and um, I remember I was somebody had like sent me like a teaser for it, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I have to see this. And I remember sitting like at a beer garden with like three of my friends from grad school, and we're like, "Yo, have you heard about this movie?" And we're like, "Yeah, but I don't know what it's about. I think it's something multiverse." And so we like at that moment we're like, "Okay, we have to go see this," but we made it like nobody look at anything else. We're gonna go on, and this is all we're gonna know about it. And I went and saw it with two of them, and we were just like, oh my god. And then my friend who couldn't make it, we immediately went the next weekend, and then the week after that I went with another. I saw it like back to back to back. Like
Hmm.
it blew my mind. And I was like, this is the best. This will be the best movie I've seen all year, and it proved to be true.
Yeah. The first time I heard about it, you had sent me a trailer. You
Yes.
Mitra sent me the trailer, and I don't watch trailers because I find that they give away the whole thing,
They
and then
do.
I get mad when I go see it. I'm like, oh, all the plot points of the major highlights have been shown to me, and so
Yeah,
I
I've
don't see them
noticed that too.
for
It's
the
very
surprise.
annoying.
But that one I watched, and I watched and I was confused. I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm definitely going to see it. And when it came out, I can't. It was super random, but I went on a date with. So I took a date to go see it, and really quickly into it, I was like, I knew that I loved it immediately, and I was like, if this guy doesn't like it, we are not going to work out. Because there were things that were happening that I thought was hilarious. And I like kept looking over, be like, "Oh, okay, good, you're laughing." Because if you don't have this kind of sense of humor, like, no, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
Wow, it
actually
was such a
didn't see
crazy
any.
experience.
I never watched any trailers. I just, well, first of all, I saw Michelle Yeoh was in it, and like I'll watch anything she's in, just
Yeah.
anything at all. Um, and that was pretty much all I knew about it. I knew it was something multiversal because of the posters and seeing like the tagline and things like that. But I didn't watch any trailers either. I went into it having no idea what I was gonna get, but I was like, Michelle Yeoh never does me dirty.
Right.
Yeah. True, true, true. Oh man. What did I saw it, I've seen I've well, I don't know how many times I've seen it now, but I saw it in the theaters either two or three times.
Mhm.
And all those times, like it was really interesting. The first time I saw it, I was just like, I can't believe what I just watched. This was amazing. I like this is my favorite movie. This is the best movie that's come out in the last 10 years. Like all of these things are going through my
Mhm.
mind. And I remember it was like raining on the drive home and I was just like looking out the window, just being like, whoa. And then the next time I saw it, they showed it on the roof of my old building. And so
Mhm.
we all gathered together, we watched it there, and like I'd seen it, but I told a bunch of other people who hadn't seen it to come watch it. And they had kind of the same experience. And then the third time I saw it in a theater was in the middle of the day. And let me tell you, leaving that movie theater after having seen it in the middle of a day in like a busy downtown gave me such anxiety.
Mm.
Like I didn't have the opportunity to like shift. Like suddenly I was just like, oh my God, all these people are all around me and like
Yeah.
it was absolutely disorienting, but like not in a good way. I like beautifully disorienting things, but I was just like I was stressed out, and it wasn't just me. Like all four or five of us who went to see it, we were just like, let's just get on the train. Let's just get on the train. Let's just get on the train. We had to like get out of the busy town. So crazy.
It's definitely a movie. I feel like everyone I talked to about it who loved it, or like I told three other people and made them watch it with me.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's because I did the same thing. It's like a
Yeah.
friend would come over and I'm like, "Have you seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?" Because I have it. If you want to watch it, and if you don't want to watch it, we're gonna watch it anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's a common theme of like, if you, for the people who like see it and like it, you almost become like evangelists for it. Like you immediately are
Mhm.
like, okay, I
Mhm.
have to tell everybody about how amazing this movie is because everybody has to see it. And I remember like so often saying to people, don't read anything about it. Don't just go in as cold as humanly possible so that you can experience everything that it's going to throw at you, because it just
Hmm.
throws so much at you. And you and it's odd because you're like, this doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense. And why am I crying all of a sudden? And like, I like to, even today I'm like doing work and watching it and I'm like, okay, mm, whew,
Oh,
been a couple months since I've seen it again and I'm getting all emotions. Okay, whew. But yeah,
yeah.
um
Hey, no
Yeah.
one
I
asked
think
for
I
your
think
input.
telling yeah, you didn't remember anything. I think what's cool, I think telling people to go into this movie cold is
mhm,
such a good thing to do, especially because like the first few minutes are in Chinese with subtitles, right?
right.
So you're just, and I'm saying Chinese because I don't know which dialect it is.
I
I
think
think it is
Mandarin.
Mandarin. So it's in
Mandarin.
Mandarin with subtitles, and it's just like you can see the look on people's faces when they're just like, "Oh, really? You tricked me into a foreign language show?" They're like, God damn it, you artsy bitch, and then you just have you watch these things like this is like because it's not exciting, it's not really exciting in the beginning. You're just like,
Mhm,
what? There's all these, she's sitting there with their receipt, they're at the
mhm,
doing breakfast, and they're just like, the most mundane, boring things, and you're like, oh no, what did I get myself into?
mhm.
And that's always the expression that I see on people's faces when they
Right.
start to watch it. And like for me, the first time I saw that, I was just like, like this is really well filmed. Like the
Yeah.
lighting in this kitchen is just like that gray morning light, like not a lot of windows. Like they
Yeah.
they just nailed everything visually about it. And yeah, it's like you're lulled into this sense of like, okay, well, this is just a regular family movie about a family, and then
Yeah,
I think,
go ahead, Mitra.
well, I was just gonna say the nerd part of me was about to come out. I think one of my favorite parts about this movie is just the amount of like practical things that we get in it. And the director's commentary, they sort of talk about how not only that, but also the set design. They talk about the apartment and how the Daniels were saying how so many particularly so many individuals who are Chinese descent, come up to him and are like, yeah, that felt very familiar to me. That felt very, I have that same rice cooker. I have that same, like, and it like they like took the pains to make it as detailed and realistic as possible. And props to their set designers and props masters, because it really does feel so very lived in.
It's I think like even that's what's really cool about this movie is like whether it's like these really mundane like just at home scenes or like the super absurd ones, there's an authenticity to each of them that I don't. It's just like it's just so remarkable. It's so remarkable. I'm trying to think of other things that strike me the same way, but we won't talk about Succession here. But we are going to do it 30 Tuesdays about Succession coming soon after Tanya watches all 4 seasons.
I'm gonna do
but
it.
yeah, the authenticity is just like
I'm looking forward. I welcome you to the Succession. You will learn very quickly.
I'm looking forward to it because everybody talks about it and it sounds really good, and everybody's all stressed out every Sunday. And I needed a Sunday night show, but I didn't have time to catch up in time for this season. So
it's a
like,
great show.
I like it so much that we could just do an episode on every like a season, like do the show as its own thing, and like do.
I'd be down for that.
Oh, let's do it! Oh my God.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, like we did for Game of Thrones, but we've already watched it. Good.
Yeah,
okay,
over. For anybody,
we'll switch roles because like I have seen it and you haven't, and then that'll be really fun.
Okay, I'm down.
Yay.
We'll do it. I'm gonna commit to that too.
Here.
What I was gonna say, I really appreciated through the mundane parts in the beginning how they pull you into the action and all of that really quickly with the cameras in the background.
Yes.
The first time I was watching it, I was just watching her talking to her daughter, and I saw like the movement, and I was like, "What did you just do?" I was like, "Hold on, what was that?" And then I started watching it, and I was like, what? Also, I recognized him. I was like, "Is that the guy from Indiana Jones? The kid from Indiana Jones?" And then I'm like, "How did I recognize him? Like, has his face really not changed in all these years that I recognize him?"
Not much.
Because like it's not like I kept up with his career or anything, and I don't watch Indiana Jones like daily, but I saw his face and was like, looks like the kid from Indiana Jones.
Yeah. It took me a while to place him. And I was like, who is that? And then the guy he was like, he's like, that's the guy. I was like, oh yeah.
I'm so happy for him.
Me too.
It's long overdue. Very, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
This movie. So we have all this conflict that's happening, right? Like they're getting audited, which scares me to death. Like I don't ever want to have to go through that experience. Like, like how do you sleep? How do you sleep? They're getting audited. Dad's coming to town. The daughter's trying to
very disappointed dad who's criticizing every aspect of your life.
Everything. And I think it's also not just that they're being audited, but they're being audited as small business owners who also live in that business, in that physical building, and are immigrants. So you've got all these sort of things layered on top of it, that
it's my last life.
That just make it even more stressful
Yeah. And then you have the daughter who's coming in and trying to be recognized and accepted in the middle of this chaos, and the mother criticism, and just what
really when she kind of like a little bit later when her daughter is leaving and her mom comes up to her like she's gonna say something meaningful, and she's just like, "You need to try to eat more vegetables. You're getting fat." I was like, oh, immigrant moms, man.
Yeah.
It's
just be saying anything. I'd also very quickly like to say that old Chinese women and old Jamaican women are the same people.
And old St. Lucian women.
I
They're
was
the
gonna
same
say,
people.
I think old women, because old Black American, I catch them same L's from my old Black American aunts and aunts.
Like, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. Doesn't apply to them. And it
No,
never
they don't
has.
believe in that.
It just
They do
applies
not believe
to
in
you.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that moment it's interesting you bring up that moment, because I remember seeing it for the first time and being like, oh, okay, is there about to be this? It you can see that she wants to have a deeper or a better connection or whatever. She wants to there, you can see there's something there, right? But it's like she doesn't know how to
right.
be that type of parent because she wasn't parented in that way. And
generational trauma,
and of course that comes back later on when she's, like, I wanted to raise my daughter to not go through or be the same as me, and I failed, but that's okay.
And then there's also her daughter not understanding what her mother went through.
Right.
Not really understanding that she's been through things too. She just sees it as, and you know what it reminds me of? Joy Luck Club. Where like their moms have these deep stories and there's so many things that happen to them, and their daughters just have no idea, no clue at all what their mothers have been through. They're just like mad at mom and being little bad Americanized kids.
And how true is that? Like I think about my mom and her story, like what I know of her story. I think about my grandmother and what I know of her story, and it's just like, you just know this much, because you think about your own life and the things that you've been through that you never will share with any, like with your mom or whatever. And it's just like, oh yeah, you have that, but like times two. You've been alive twice as long or maybe 3 times as long as I have, and it's just like there's a lot of experience that I can't account for that has made you into this person. And maybe you can't help it, but getting to that understanding takes a lot of work.
It's work.
Also, hi AK.
Hard.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, she's right. She says she turned into her dad.
Yeah, she absolutely did. Yeah.
It's like the thing that you're trying to avoid the most, like the same constraints that he was putting on you, you find yourself doing. But it's like, it's a learned behavior, but it's not consciously learned.
But then there are also the things she learned because of how her dad was with her, like the fact that she but her daughter has a girlfriend. And she's like, you know what, I'm open to it, that you have, and she said, like, you're lucky to have a mother that's open to you dating a God, you know what I'm trying to say.
She's dating a daughter.
Well, she's dating a daughter. So in a way, it's like she kind of learned from her what not to do,
right,
from her dad as well. But again, through her daughter's lens, it's like, her mom just does not understand. And it's the fact that it was so important to her to introduce her girlfriend to Gong Gong. It's funny because like I have never made like a production out of introducing someone to my family. They just kind of show up. And I'm like, oh, this is Brian. And then he's just kind of around all the time. And then that's that.
I try not to make it a production, but as Mitra saw that one time that we all went to dinner with my family, like I mentioned something casually, and I dropped on that I was going to be dating somebody, and they were like, but I did it with Mitra and another friend and colleague of ours because I knew they would make a big deal about it at the table. But if I told them on my own, like I would have been, interrogated.
Right.
I was like, here, just by the way. But it's like,
I don't think I've ever told my parents I was dating, period.
Yeah.
But I think that's
this is my friend.
Right. And then we were engaged.
But I think that's the thing though, particularly in queer communities, that you kind of have to add that extra layer of like of making it a thing of like, this is this person, because I guess it's a part of the perpetual coming out, if you will, process, especially for some families where you can tell them like, oh, I'm insert, sexual identity here. And unless and it can sort of, okay. And then it just,
right. It's like a theory. I
Right.
need to see it in practice.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well,
So-
not in practice all the way. Gong Gong doesn't need to see all that.
Right.
Search
But,
for it on the internet.
But yeah, I think that's also probably a layer of it as well.
Right, because you
Yeah.
have to wonder. She has to wonder: is her mom ashamed? Is her mom not really accepting it? Questions like that.
And then with the mom's experience with her with Gong Gong, she's just like, well, maybe she's protecting her from his reaction.
Right.
Maybe she doesn't know how he's going to react. But then the
Right.
flip side of that is that he's so old that he's seen everything. Is he really going to care? Like, this is his granddaughter. He hasn't seen her.
But even like Joy says, he's gonna be upset and then he's gonna forget and die. And if I
Yeah.
don't tell him, he's still gonna die. 'Cause he's
Yeah.
really old.
Yeah.
So who cares?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
And speaking of him being really old, Gong Gong, I don't know. He has some kind of
yeah, that actor is like
magic.
91.
James
and
Hong.
still work. James
Yeah.
Hong.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think he's like 91, which is just like incredible.
I can't
And-
imagine working at 91. I can't imagine being 91.
Right.
I feel like
but
I'd be
I'm
put
gonna
out to
be
pasture before then.
terrifying.
but I also can't like I guess I also can't I watch a lot of so I it was my aunt is obsessed with like westerns, and so inevitably we end up seeing like the rare people of color in these westerns, and so there'll occasionally be moments where I'll see like various like Woody Strode, who's a black actor who was one of the rare black actors who was in these, and I always have these moments of thinking about these people of color who were acting at that time
Mhm.
and what kind of shit they went through
Right.
to get to here now in this Oscar winning film. It's just kind of incredible.
Ooh, highlight AK's comment.
Oh
I did not know that.
wow.
Shout out to him.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's probably because of lack of opportunity. I mean, it was probably many things, but the opportunity was probably definitely a factor in creating that. That's amazing.
That is amazing. And a shout out, it's like Asian Pacific
Asian American
Pacific
Pacific
Islander.
Islander.
Pacific Islander Heritage Month. So shout out to
Oh yeah,
all
that
of-
just started.
yeah. Shout out to all of you and your roles here building the country like our forebears did. Y'all don't get talked about enough, honestly. Oh man. So let's talk about what shit gets wacky.
Yeah.
Because you think they're gonna do taxes, like you have a hint that something is off when you see Waymond spitting all over washing machines and stuff.
Right.
And also because you like being the sweetest, you're like, that sweet guy just did that,
Yeah, you're like,
I'm
wait,
not
what
as
just happened?
What was he even doing?
Right.
There was nobody there fighting him. Why was he flipping all over everything?
I loved it.
Testing out the sneakers. Like,
Yeah.
where was it?
Oh man. Yeah, you say they go and she goes. What happens? She goes into the closet.
Who?
She goes into the closet afterwards. I'm trying to think of the first moment where she. Oh, in the elevator. They're
The
going
elevator.
up
Yeah, in the elevator, he
elevator.
pops up
the umbrella.
the umbrella to block the camera or whatever, and then she's like,
And of
what
course
is
she's
happening?
like, what are you doing?
Right,
Ugh.
because it makes zero sense. And another, again, nerd Mitra moment, another sort of like dope thing of how they were talking about how a lot of that stuff was just like practical they just projected the images on her face to like get that. I love that. I think
Practical effects always hold up so much better.
yes, and so much of it, like they were saying, most of their use of like visual effects was to sort of like smooth out some practical effects, but like just them. I think that this film is definitely sort of a testament to being able to make things happen on a limited budget and limited resources. Because most of that stuff is practical, but elevator dopeness.
Yeah, the elevator dopeness. It's just like you you're like, okay, something else is going on here. I don't know. Like, is he sick?
Yeah.
Is he? Are they just finding out he's like schizophrenic or something? Or we're like, okay, no, this guy's from another time.
Right. And I accepted that.
Yeah.
But then when he ate his chapstick, I was like, what? I didn't understand it. I didn't understand that he needed, you know, he explains it obviously, but like I didn't get it at all. I was very confused as to why he just ate chapstick.
I love that they don't explain that until way deep into the movie, right? Like just weird stuff keeps happening. And you're just like, why did you eat the chaps? Why are you putting the shoes on the other feet? Like all these little things. I'm like, okay, well, these things are the catalyst to make this whatever possible. But they don't explain that to you right away. You just have to accept and things move so quickly that you're like, God damn, you really ate that chapstick, or she really did that with the shoes, and then you just keep moving.
Right.
Like this train is moving with or without you. You're gonna come along.
Yeah.
Like
you're trying to process him eating chapstick while he's beating up 4 people with a fanny pack. So it's like you haven't even gotten there yet.
Yeah. And I love how Ke Huy Quan is like able to just with his acting switch from each different Waymond like it's nothing. Like all of a sudden he just head turns one way and you can immediately see he's a different way, and it's just so incredible in those moments.
Stephanie Sue, is that how you say her last name?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yes,
Stephanie Sue. The way she switched between Joy and Jobu Tupaki.
Yes,
every time I was like, oh my god, like she'd just be looking at you just. And just,
just tilts a little bit. You're like, oh,
she was such a great kind of villain.
I loved her so much. I think that her performance is actually my favorite.
It is mine.
It's just.
I watching it again today made me once again enraged that she did not win the Oscar.
I'll never forgive that. She should have won it.
She should have won. I mean, like, there's just so much she's doing in this, in her performance that is
just her face, even.
Yeah, and it's just like the littlest things that she does that you can see what's happening, and you're like, and similar to women, you know, switching from one to the other. It's such an incredible performance that. Like I could not understand like when the initial like beginnings of like awards and blah 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 were happening. I'm like, why is nobody mentioning her? Like this is the best performance I have seen all year. Why is nobody mentioning her?
Easily. Oh, it's so funny because like every time I watch that movie, I'm like, well, Halloween is all set this year. Like it happens on a Tuesday or whatever. I'm like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday too. Like my costumes are done. I'm gonna be a Jobu Tupaki on each of these days, unless something better comes around, and I don't think there will be.
Yeah, I feel like that's something I would need to plan now. Because even for tonight, I was like, all right, Jobu Tupaki does blue lipstick, so I'm gonna do some. Yeah, exactly. The costuming was amazing, and Jobu Tupaki's makeup, and like little things, like she's walking and her fingernails are changing color. You know, like this little things like that really stood out to me.
Baby hair across the forehead. That's old Jobu.
Yeah. I didn't notice that on the first watch.
Yeah, and it's just like it's like, yes, it's a multiverse, and I will just call it like the system of magic in this movie, right? It's just that first opportunity where you finally, like, you've heard of Jobu Tupaki and you understand, like, you get that this person is no good, but you don't get like the extent to which this person is, let's call them, you know, they want to like, you know, brand her as evil until you see that encounter in the hallway. And you're like, she just killed that guy, but like, did he really
exploded into confetti? Like, is he dead? I think so.
And also, I love in that chaoticness of like the way that they edit that is so like incredible. Where she's in one costume at one point and then scooping up the guy and about to do a pile driver and is in a completely different like wrestler outfit, like just the way that they edit it together. And then she's in a country, like in a country club, like golfing uniform. It's just like incredible how they I'm wondering. I wonder, like, do they like shoot the whole, like, how the shooting process of that whole hallway sequence is? I
Yeah.
want to know, because she's like changing, and they're not like simple costumes.
No. It's like, can you imagine being the person on continuity on that shoot?
Oh my god, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Oh my gosh,
My
that would drive me to drink.
I was just about to say, I just imagine somebody with really red eyes, like smoking a cigarette, and like their hand is shaking with the bourbon in the glass.
Oh man.
Do you know if they won anything for makeup or costume?
No, they weren't. I don't believe they were nominated for an Oscar for makeup or costumes, which was infuriating. I mean, let me double check that. But let me not speak out of turn, but I know they didn't win, but because the
I forgot who won costume. I was like Black Panther, no?
I have no idea. I think so. Ruthie Carter, right?
Black Panther. Yeah, I think Black Panther won costuming.
I'll accept Ruth E. Carter winning. But
Mitra's frozen. Frozen.
Oh no, Mitra.
Come back.
Oh, sorry about that.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry about that. My internet just died all of a sudden.
I was about to start singing Janet Jackson, Come Back to Me.
Yes.
There it is.
We saw Janet Jackson last week.
Okay, so it was nominated for costume, but it was not nominated for makeup, which I don't understand.
Makeup was so good.
Yeah,
it was
just like all the transformations that all the characters went through. Like, we're talking about Stephanie Sue, but like Michelle Yeoh, like when she's glammed up as, you know, when she's glammed
as Michelle Yeoh,
actress, right? Or when she's the blind singer, or just like all of these other like versions of herself.
Yeah, it looked like just her actual red carpet footage.
Yeah. A lot of those were just
that dress.
Were like, you know, regular AP kind of like clips of her on the red carpet, because you could see in actually one of them the Crazy Rich Asians logo treatment behind her.
Now I gotta watch again to
yeah, that whole like
thing about this movie. Every time you watch, there's something new to discover.
There's something else to discover.
Yeah, it's really. I mean, even those moments where she's like, they're like the vacuum kind of where she's shooting back or whatever, and she's switching from different. They were saying in the director's commentary, that was basically just like Daniel Kwan, wherever he was going places, he was just like taking pictures of everything. Or when they were on like location scouts, if he went to a museum or whatever, they were just taking all these photos wherever they happened to be, so they could just then layer them in.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's cool.
Wow.
That's really cool. I should have watched the director's commentary.
It's funny because there are it's partial like information and partial them like making jokes about the film or about the process or whatever. So it's very entertaining. It's entertaining.
Speaking of funny, it's like that's the other thing about this movie. It's like yes, it's kind of a mindfuck, and it's like, there's all these different things happening, but it's hilarious.
Yes.
There are so many just like belly laugh comedic moments throughout the whole movie, and that's like without the butt plugs, you know, like all these other funny things are just
butt plugs
or the dildo fight.
Or the dildo.
She beat that man's ass with 2 huge dildos,
which apparently I think they shot more of that, but they just had to like cut it to what it was.
They circumcised the edit. So just like everything is just so funny, like the Rakakuni, or like
I love Rakakuni.
Like, where she comes where Michelle Yeoh has her like taped to the chair because she thinks she's Jobu Tubaki, and then suddenly Gong Gong starts talking, and she's like, "When did Gong Gong get so good at English?" Like, I laugh so hard every time that part comes up, because it's just like she's like, oh God, what is going on here? We have no
Yeah.
And then he
idea.
has a gun.
Yeah, no,
Then he
yeah.
has
All
a
of a sudden he has a gun. And you're like, wait, where did that come from?
Oh, Alpha Gong Gong is no joke, man.
No,
Alpha Gong Gong was ready to murder.
Well, like
He
he
was
was
like,
so
yes.
close to her how we see her actual dad portrayed.
Mhm.
Garvey has feelings about Gong Gong.
Garvey is Gong Gong.
Garvey is Gong Gong. He just makes demands.
Mhm. I laugh at Garvey all day. I love
Just, like wait for him to finish.
him. He's like, I was ready to leave.
Oh, he's pissed. Sorry.
All good. Garvey's a
He made
guest
me
star
lose my
always.
always. That's why,
Gong
I
Gong
always
with the
think
gun.
of 30 Tuesday as my chaotic stream because usually I'm alone with the kids.
Mm.
Mm.
This is the first time, only second time he's been home. No. Yeah, second time he's been home. Free
Yeah.
Garvey.
Yeah, no. The movie is it's funny. And
Mhm.
it's just I really enjoy the experience of just, because I mean, there's some movie resonates on so many levels, but like having an opportunity to be like, what if,
Mhm.
this, what if,
Mhm.
it's like a specular fiction masterpiece, right, Tanya?
Mhm.
It's like, what if I did this other thing in life, and
Right.
this is, this is
Right.
what could have happened.
That's the
And
part. Go ahead.
I was going to say it, but I love not that it's just not, this is what if, I led the glamour, but it's to every extreme, right?
Mhm.
Every extreme, every possibility, every option. What if I just went to culinary school? Or what if I fell and lost my eye, poked an eye out and couldn't see anymore?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's the part that really hit me in the feelings more than the mother-daughter friction,
Mm.
Mhm.
because it really had me sitting there like, am I living my best me?
Mm.
Like, what if I had done this differently? What if I had done that differently? And she
Mhm.
tells him, I saw my life without you. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Especially because there's that moment where Alpha Wayman says her current existence is the worst version of herself.
Yeah.
Like
The
that's
most
got to punch you in the
mediocre.
throat a little bit. Like, wow,
Yeah.
okay.
It's
It's
a
like
gut
you're the
punch.
best one. He's like, you're no good at anything.
Anything.
Everything you do fails. And you're just
Right.
like, but that's what makes you the perfect candidate. You're a blank slate. Like, oh.
No, that made me feel bad because it really had me sitting here thinking about my own life and like different paths I could have taken and different decisions I could have made. And I really sat there like, am I living the worst version of myself? I don't know.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't know, Nikki.
Yeah. Yeah. AK's comment.
I'm highlight it.
As a
Yeah.
speculative fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That part, I think it was really interesting to me because it didn't make me sad. It made me hopeful. Like
Mm.
it made me really optimistic. I'm like, oh, so this version, like this doesn't have to be it. Like I could like some, Brandon Sanderson, Stormlight Archive reference. What's the most important step you could take? It's always the next one. Like you always have an opportunity. Or it's like that one proverb. It's like you have as
Sanderson
many
reference.
chances. Woohoo! We did it. Cross off your bingo card, AK. It's like you have as many opportunities to change as there are leaves in the forest, and that's what
Right.
this says to me.
Mhm.
I think the parts that made me want to be more understanding of my mother and to try to like relate to like there's, like I said, there's a whole past that you don't really know about.
Right.
And there's all these things that happen, and there are reasons that you don't know about why things are the way they are. And so for me it was like it resonated very much on that level, but also understanding that to me, for my family, it's like I don't always share a lot about what I have going. Like they have no idea I'm doing this live stream right now, right?
Right.
Like I'm as mysterious to them as they are to me, and I have to realize that goes both ways.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
And like it just made me think like, how can I say this? We as daughters have to understand our mothers too. right? And not just the crazy immigrant moms, but like across the board.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's so hard because we're in our own world, and we're thinking about
Mhm.
us and how we are responding to them and what they've done. And we really do have to sit back and like ask ourselves, like, what other life could my mother have lived?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
other things, if I had to list like 3 of my mom's hobbies, like I know like one. What
Mhm.
else,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about like when I went to St. Lucia, I met an old family friend who was like telling me about stuff that my mom used to do when she was younger. And these are things that I didn't know. It's like how she used to like she worked for something for the UN or something. And I was like, what?
Right.
She
Right.
did, oh. But then I think about this woman who had 4 kids by the time she was 30. I'm like, oh, well, she was being a mom. She was, I mean,
Yeah.
she was being a mom and she was working and she was going to school and she was doing all these things. It was like, but if my dad always lets us know, if I didn't have you kids, I'd be off somewhere on a beach doing this.
Do we have the same dad? Because
Well,
my dad shares a little too much. The
He
beautiful
he
life he
always
could
says
see
that.
without us.
Yeah, he's like, but my dad on the other hand has always encouraged me. He's like, you're not married, you don't have kids, do
Right.
what you want. Right. And I
Right.
think maybe that's why I feel that way about some of these other aspects of this movie. It's like, oh no, I could just pick up and be out and just be like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Learning
Yeah.
the whole backstory can be just as traumatic.
Yeah.
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 And there's so much we'll never
Tanya,
know.
can you take a drink for me for that?
I'm drinking with a straw, so I'm not eating my lipstick all night.
That sips for me.
Mm.
Now
And
I gotta take one for me.
I think it was also, it hits me when we realize that she's not actually, that Jobu or Joy is not actually trying to kill
Yes.
Right.
Evelyn, but she wants to like bring her into this nihilism, to this sort of like longing, or she's still trying to connect, even in like,
Yes, that's what it's all
In
about.
every
All of that.
universe.
yeah, she's
She
still
was
trying to find
someone
something.
who can see what she's like. She says to see what I'm seeing and to experience it. And if the person who created you can't do it, then who else can?
Right.
Right.
It's like
And
really that basic.
in a way, she wanted her mother to save her still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Save
Yeah.
her from her bagel.
Yeah.
Whew.
Ugh.
This is
Yeah, I think I
this is a
always,
heavy
Yeah.
I always like
Yeah.
when they get to that moment where she's at the bagel, and Evelyn's trying to hold on to her,
My
and then Gong Gong is
bagel.
holding. They're all holding on, and
I love that part.
she like lets her just like, she's like, let me go, and I'm just like, oh God. I like, because it's a weird thing. I was having this sort of thought process again today when I was watching it, is that on one hand, I'm very much like, oh yes, like having a moment to separate when you need to for your health, yes.
Mhm.
But and rooting for, or wanting that for Joy, for her own health.
Mm-hmm.
But then also understanding that many of our parents are just not going to be able to do that, because it's hard for them to accept that or do that, because regardless, they want to have us in their lives in whatever form they can take that in, and will maybe fight us on whatever that form looks like. And even I think even with her like saying, no, I'm, I still want to be here with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
despite all the bullshit,
despite all
and
of
everything.
it's just like, yes. Sorry, I'm like,
No, I mean this was
Yeah,
perfect for a post Mother's Day
mhm.
Yeah, that's
chat.
what we said. Bring your trauma.
Yeah, bring it on.
Here
Bring
we
it on.
are. I think it's really beautiful, and I think there's the moment like where she's standing in front of the bagel, and it's just how many times, or I'll speak for myself, but have you just felt like nothing really matters? It doesn't matter what you do or whatever. It's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So like, what's the point in continuing to try? And for her mom to be like, yeah, I know you might feel like that, but no, there is a reason. There is a reason. And even it's like, for even her recognizing that her reason, like if joy is her only reason, that's still a reason, right?
Right.
And she wants
Mhm.
joy to find whatever that reason is for her, and like trying to convince her that finding it will be worth it once you get there. But oh man, in the moment, like it's so easy and tempting just to give up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me too, I was watching it both from the perspective as a daughter, but also from the perspective as a mother. My children are young, so they need everything from me right now. But like when I get older, like what if they don't call me? What if they only call me when they need something?
Mm-hmm.
And then they think that's fine because I'm always, telling them how they need to eat better or something. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so when her mom was like, "You never call me, even though we're on a family plan," I was like, "Damn."
Yeah. Yeah. That hit me particularly because I got like text fussed at by my mother this morning for not responding to a text message. And so I was like, okay, well.
It made me think like, do I
Yeah.
call my mother enough?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that me and my siblings have talked about. We're like, oh, like our mom's like she'll call us randomly and stuff. Like some of my other siblings speak to her like more often than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But we've talked about it's like, oh, you never call to just see like how I'm doing. You're always calling to like tell me something or whatever. And then I was like, but do I ever call to be like, how was your day at work? I
Right.
don't either.
Right.
I don't do that either. Like I said, it's a thing that goes both ways. Like you want them to take interest in your lives but also stay out of it also because you're going
Right.
to do what you want to do. But like,
Right.
are you paying that back? Like, are you interested in her as a figure outside of like this mother role? Because mother is just a role that
Right.
she's playing.
She's a
And
whole
it's funny.
person
She's
outside
a
of it.
person. And
Right.
it's interesting to know that it's hard. It can be difficult to see that for your own mother because my friends who are mothers, I tell them all the time that you're like a mother is just a thing that you do. Just like, your job is not your identity, right?
Mhm.
A mother is just a role that you're playing. I knew you before you had kids, and that person was a whole person. Where
Right.
is that person? It's just like, oh yeah, no, that applies to your mom too.
Right.
And it's really interesting because I actually this whole idea of mother, I just finished watching Queen Charlotte.
Oh, I haven't watched that yet.
Okay, well, I won't spoil it, but I'll just say that the question of what it means to be a mother and what those roles are is a big part of this exploration of not just the Bridgerton Queen Charlotte, but also the characters of Lady Danbury and Violet Bridgerton. You see these, it really is, to your point, sort of like, who are these people? Who are they as people? Who are they as mothers? How do those sort of intersect and not intersect? And how do we acknowledge or not acknowledge that?
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, let's talk about the people who like,
I'm just like, damn, like who,
yeah.
who's my mom's best friend? I know who she hangs out with a lot, but who does she consider her best friend? I don't know. My dad told me she used to get in fights at his shows.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was the groupie slayer.
Okay.
And he had to stop inviting her because it was like anyone who spoke to him after a show could get it. She was young though, she was young. So she still had that fire. But that was like it was such an interesting thing to find out about my mother.
Right.
Like she's like a church lady now. She's an usher.
Right.
I found out that my grandmother used to get into fights.
Yeah.
I knew that about mine.
Well, I didn't know that about mine. I was told that her sister told me that she used to come to school every day with cornrows, expecting to fight.
Wow.
She had long hair and she didn't want her hair pulled. And like it was just like she woke up every day and was like, I'm probably gonna fight today. And and it's like I was like, I mean, granted, the last time she was almost in a fight was like 2008. So, but
yeah,
this is it's like I think of my grandma as my grandma. She's just
Right.
my grandma. She makes me porridge and like
Mhm.
plays church music at home. Like,
My grandma makes me porridge.
Bitches up.
She makes me porridge and says a rosary at 11 and 3, but she tells me about how somebody ever called her the other day and she'd go into the square and yank them and be like, oh, call them out from their, like I've heard, I'm like, yo, like, I don't know, like I'm like low key. I'm like, were you a bully? Actually, like, what are you doing? Because she was not afraid of like people. My cousin was saying that she'd like stand on the porch and just like somebody would say something, she'd be like, no, 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 no.
Oh,
Or if
wow.
they got away with it that time, the next time she saw them in the square,
It's on. Oh.
Wow. And, I mean, I think
That shit is
that
funny.
is an interesting thing. I mean, my aunt, I always joke with her that like at least maybe every other month I learn something new about her that she just casually drops, like something that happened to her in her travels overseas, or oh yeah, that time we were like getting chased by the Klan and we had to hide in the swamp in Florida. Wait, what? And
You can't just drop that in conversation.
Right. And she says to me all the time, like, I have lived a life, so that's why I sit around the house now, because I have lived. And I think about when we're older, we'll be casually dropping these sort of like random and unbelievable anecdotes to the youngsters in our lives about the wild things, going to Baltimore to see the Wretched.
Big fun.
I watched that whole clip on TikTok last weekend.
Like everybody did, because it was circulating, because every Mother's Day it pops up anyway, but it was definitely circulating.
If you don't know what we're talking about the Cosby Show, the time that Vanessa
went to Baltimore, and had big fun with the Wretched.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, I watched that and it made me sweat. I was like, oh, I remember that time I got caught sneaking out of the house.
I was so innocent, man. I snuck out of my house once and I was like 19. So
yeah, I don't think
I was sneaking someone into my house. I snuck out to meet him at the train, and it wasn't even to do anything. We played dominoes, and then he slept in the basement, and then we went to school together the next day. I wasn't like, that's it. I wasn't even dating him or anything. It was just like, hey, do you want to hang out at my house? I'm so innocent.
I'll tell you offline because I don't want that saved for posterity.
True,
but I think before, because we're almost at time, but like I wanted to say that we should talk about Waymond.
Yes,
because
talk about Waymond.
like with the sweet influence, and it's just like there are people in your life
and just wants to be listened to and heard,
right?
And to be heard,
and his continued sort of like encouragement of kindness.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Like, even after being stabbed in the stomach.
Yeah, like he consistently has this sort of like optimism that you try to figure, like, where is this coming from? Where is this, like, with the googly eyes and everything? He's just always, because it just really is baffling. And of course, we can't talk about Women without talking about the Wong Kar-wai sort of scene where I would have been happy, in a small apartment doing taxes and like, oh.
I love that line. It made me swoon. It makes me swoon every time.
And like his acting too, like him going from Waymond to like business Waymond, was really two different people.
Yeah. And I think what I love about the movie is that she also, like, she's falling in love with every other version of him, like, and he's right in front of her this whole time. And it's just like there are all these little moments with him where he's just like, this is how I fight. Like, just be nice to people, just be kind, just find something to like bring a little bit of sunshine to their day. And I that's kind of like what I try to live my life, so it resonates with me. I want people to be happy, but it's just a moment where he's like sticking the googly eyes on the laundry bag, and he like looks real quickly. He's got caught to like jump down and doing it, and she asks in the very end, she's like, "Where are all these stupid eyes coming from?" She's pulling them off, and that's just his way of like being consistent throughout the whole thing. And it's just like you go back to the fact that the movie, like it's very beginning, it's like he's serving her divorce papers because he's just like, I don't really want to get divorced, but I want you to pay attention. Maybe this will make you pay attention. And she still doesn't.
Right.
She's still too busy to even notice that
Right.
she's holding divorce papers.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because when she figures out when she finally clicks this is divorce papers, she doesn't she doesn't ask about like what's wrong with their relationship. She's like, oh, your brother gets a divorce, so now it's
You
sort
think
of
it's
like
okay?
right, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like we don't get divorced. That's not what we do. Like there's no sort of like what is breaking down here in our relationship. It's more like this is not what we do.
Yeah.
All of a
Yeah.
sudden,
And we know that, you know, like culturally, you know, that's like luckily
Oh.
we've come to a place where
So
that's
this
not
part-
like accepted, but yeah.
oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
also because Wayman
Told
told
her.
Deirdre Beaudeirdre that he served her divorce
Divorce
papers,
papers.
and that's why she was behaving so strangely. And
Yeah.
Deirdre immediately understood because she'd been served divorce papers, and she called herself an unlovable bitch.
Bitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
And even that was like, damn, that's what you
Yeah.
see yourself as?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is Deirdre living her best self?
I mean, I think we even see that she's not, because, you know, it's clear that she's internalized a lot of the things that are thrown at her, both in her personal life in terms of her marriage, but also probably as a person who works for the IRS.
Mm-hmm. And you can see it's like there are things about their characters, like, okay, they have different abilities, but like there is like very deep things about their characters that stay consistent across the multiverse. And it's just like you see her, and you're gonna talk about hot dog fingerland, Tanya. We see her there, and it's just like consistently just being hurt over and over and over and over,
just wanting to be loved.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Poor Deirdre Beaudeirdre.
Yeah.
Highlight this comment too.
Yeah. But Evelyn's treating her the same way she's treating Wayman in this universe.
Yeah.
And you know, of course it made me think like in another universe, Evelyn dates women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like her daughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and Joby
you know,
Tubaki comments on that, right? She's like, "Wait, we're still stuck on
still stuck on me liking girls."
Girls, like
hello.
I've literally just like killed people in front of you,
right?
And the issue is this.
That up. You're bringing that up, really?
Yeah. Oh, man. What a beautiful movie.
It is a beautiful movie. I'm
gonna
gonna be haunted. I'm gonna be haunted forever with the question of if I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna recover. So
I also I was thinking about how using an everything bagel as the symbol as the symbol of like nothingness is such an interesting, like, because at a certain point, like you put so much on there that it loses its significance or its specialness, and it just becomes like like there's nothing unique about it because you've just thrown everything but the kitchen sink on top of it, and so it sort of cancels itself out. It was like
there's that, and then it's just like, you know, it's like I think about just like, you know, the bagel as a representation of zero and null and all these other things, you know, and it's just like if you put everything there and everything goes through it, there is nothing and nothing matters. So what is there and what's the point? And like, you know, I've seen lots of movies and read lots of books about like what the fuck is the point, like so existential crisis and whatever, but woo, this movie.
Yeah, no, it definitely takes you like, oh gosh, life is meaningless.
I mean, I'm seriously going through a years-long existential crisis, like ever since I became a mother. It has not ended. And so that's what I mean when I say like I watch this and I'm just like, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Was it something else? Like, how do I know? You only know in hindsight.
Right.
And then you can't change it. It fucked me up, guys. It really did.
I mean, that's, you know, that's art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched with my friend Mila. She was supposed to join tonight, but she couldn't make it. And she watched it for the first time with me. And it's like her mouth was just open, especially about that part as well. The you're living the worst you. Like it also hit her in the stomach like a punch, because how do you stop thinking about that?
Yeah. I think if I'd seen that movie maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, it would have hit differently.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah.
I also laughed
Yeah.
a lot when she was talking about everything that she put on a bagel, and then she got down to like sesame seeds and poppy. I just busted out laughing because I was like, it kind of snaps you out of that very serious
Yeah.
moment. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that was another thing I really enjoyed, is how you have these very serious moments, and then all of a sudden there's a raccoon driving a person.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know,
A raccoon voiced by Randy Newman, which I did not know that was Randy Newman
Nobody
until
knows
I
that either.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? And like that, I think it's been a minute since I've watched something with director's commentary, just because sometimes I can be a little lazy. Anyway, whatever. But like knowing that like there's a flute part in it that's played by Andre 3000
Oh,
in this
really?
movie. Yes,
he is so
In this-
random.
in the scene where Evelyn and Deirdre are fighting in the stairwell.
Mhm.
There's like a
Mhm,
moment where Deirdre's like knee is about to hit Evelyn in the face or whatever, and there's like a flute. Andre 3000.
mhm.
I'm like, what? And I think that's another sort of funny part about this movie for me, is
I
that
bet he grants wishes.
Hmm.
Like, you just catch him somewhere with his flute, and then he grants you a wish.
I would put it past him. I just love that this movie is also like what's happening on the screen is just so like wild and out there, and sometimes sort of
Right.
kind of random, but also how them putting it together just feels also like that. Like as I read more about it or listen more about like
Mhm.
how they put it together, it's just like incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like, is this like they are like people who are editing or like music video editors, and it feel like that's
well,
why it
that's
feels
their
the way
background.
that it does. It's like their background is music videos, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, that's why this movie feels like this.
Yeah,
Amazing.
it definitely feels like a music video kind of like.
I love this movie.
I love it too.
It's like going to be the one. It's going to be one that I watch like like there are movies that I watch like every year, and it's definitely in that category. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
watch it multiple times.
I should make this
'cause it
my
just
Mother's
gets
Day
better.
movie.
Is
Make
it?
this my Mother's Day movie and just cry all night.
It's,
Am I the best me? I don't know. Have I already broken my children?
oh no.
Yeah. No, you
It's
need.
like,
need
it's
good
like
luck
you
there.
try so hard because you learn from your own trauma,
Mhm.
right? Like Evelyn learns from her own trauma and she tries so hard, but it's like you just come up with like new inventive trauma to pass on
Yeah.
to your kid. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's just a new and improved trauma.
Yeah.
Mhm. And that's the thing. It's just like, it's just accepting that nobody knows how to do it right.
Right.
Nobody-
Everybody's
we are all
figuring out all along the
faking.
way, and that's
Mhm.
okay. It's
Right.
okay.
Right.
Sigh.
That can be hard though. That can be hard to sort of accept, depending on like whatever societal pressures, familial pressures, cultural pressures, community pressures, financial pressures, etc.
Mhm.
To accept, like being able to say I'm a mess and that's okay, which is
Right.
essentially what sort of Evelyn says in the end. I'm a mess and that's okay. I don't have to be perfect. This is what it is, and it's okay that this is who my daughter is, and that's okay.
She's a mess too, but I
Yeah.
still love her.
I still love
It doesn't
her.
matter. It's like there's always going to be a place for you in my heart because I love you. Doesn't matter. Even if I'm mad at you, even if I can't stand you today, even if you drive me crazy, like, no, that's unshakable. And that's really
Even-
beautiful to see.
Even Ted Bundy's mom defended him in court. If Ted Bundy's mom could say, my son is a mess, but you know what? I love him.
I did not expect a Ted Bundy reference tonight, but okay.
I'm just saying, she was like, that's my baby and I love him. And if, it's like I personally don't know if I could defend
Sorry.
serial killing from my son, but
Yeah.
it's like, if she can
I blame it on
defend that
society.
and still love her son, maybe I could give mine a little grace when he's having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. AK's last comment is hilarious
Yeah.
because, well, the other one before that too.
Yeah, I meant to. This one came up just before as I was clicking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so true. Oh my gosh. We all yes.
That
We
would
all
take all
quote
night.
end up
Yeah, I
quoting
hear
that
my
quote.
sister say that
Yes.
to my nephews, and I'm like, "What? You're scaring me."
Ooh, this would
Oof.
take all night. It would take
Yeah,
all night.
I think definitely that's always the moment where you're like, oh my God. Like I think I said this to you, Dickie. I was driving up to Philly for a shoot and I found myself like playing like gospel music at like high and I'm like, oh my God, this is my mother. Like this is my mother right here
Turning
on a
into her.
road trip with gospel music loud and you're driving and I'm like, oh, okay.
See, that's me when
Yeah.
I'm grilling outside and I'm playing
Uh,
my Bears Hammond playlist.
yeah.
Yeah. That turned into me like I knew like my mom always played Ella and Barbara, but I loved Ella. And then I moved away and I found that when I was homesick, I started listening to Barbara Streisand. And now I blast that Guilty album because that is a masterpiece. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah. Or
Yeah.
when I listen to
Yeah.
Steel Pulse or Kassav, I'm just like, oh, right.
Yeah.
It's her.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, those all those little things. I mean, yeah, from like if I want to feel a moment close to my mother, I put on Phyllis Hyman. And yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Shout out to our moms.
Shout out to the moms.
Belated Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day.
Did you guys call your moms on Mother's Day?
I
Oh,
got her
yes.
tickets to see Janet Jackson.
Oh, that's right. I FaceTimed. Did I face? Yeah, I FaceTimed my mom, I think.
Yes.
I didn't.
I
Oh, wait.
was-
No, I did give her. I was about to say I didn't give her a gift, but I totally did. I ordered her a charm for her Pandora bracelet.
Mhm.
So I did give her a gift.
yes.
Yay,
Yes,
me.
Boxes checked.
Yes, sent her a gift and called her. Although you know, she definitely remind. Well, you're not the first one to call me today. Yes, Mom, I know that.
Mm.
It's like they always got to say something. It's always
gotta
something.
Say something.
But I called you, and you know that I love you. So.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey,
What?
Jackie C. Well, highly recommend.
Very much.
10 on 10. No notes.
Yep.
No notes. Oh, here we go. Just a unrelated comment.
Don't
Yeah.
blame you. Don't blame
Yeah.
me.
This was my first time seeing Janet, and it was amazing. I cried and I screamed, and Nikki saw a side of
Yeah.
me she has never seen before.
Yeah.
I
I
was
cried.
carrying
I cried
on,
between two and
hooting and
Yeah.
hollering.
I was
Yes.
trying to hold it in because I was wearing makeup and I was just like, oh.
My
No.
eyelashes were falling off. I was
You can't
riding home
contain
like
yourself.
holding them in place.
No, it was
You
so.
can't
It was
contain
like,
yourself when it comes to Janet. Like that's not
No.
possible.
yeah. Like
No,
I
my
knew it was
eyelashes
gonna
were
be good,
literally
but
falling off of my face, and I had to ride home with dangling eyelashes in
Yeah.
front of people.
I just like I didn't
Yes, I
expect
wear
it to be as
fakes.
good as it was, even though it was like I knew it was going to be amazing. But because Mitra was
Right,
like,
'cause
she's like
Janet.
it's a life changing experience, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, okay, because I was having a rough day that day, and I was just like, yeah, okay. But like she totally snapped me out of my sadness. I was good after
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And it's also, I think part of it is also just because as you are listening to her go through her catalog, you're basically like reliving parts of your life.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
For those of us who are of certain certain ages or whatever, like that's basically you're like thinking of your childhood, like where you the first time you heard
Formative years.
Pleasure Principle, the first time you heard All Right or whatever, like all these different. You're like, man, yes, I remember. Like
Me and
My
my
husband-
sisters, my mom choreographed a dance for Black Cat for us, and that we had to learn. And so when Black Cat came out, like after from what you call it, and just after Scream, I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
They all asked like, did they play Black Cat? I'm like, yeah, I have so many memories at the beginning of that song, going like this and Rory,
Yes.
My husband had asked me if I thought it was a better show than when I saw Beyonce, and I said yes. And Beyonce puts on a hell of a show.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Beyonce at all, but my connection to Janet's music and how far back it goes was just
Yeah.
something else.
Mhm.
When she did Scream into Rhythm Nation, I was weeping. It was ugly. I was boohoo, ugly crying.
Mm.
I don't even know if my mom likes Janet Jackson. See, guys, we got to call our mothers.
I've already spoken to mine today. They called me.
I
They
have
were like,
not.
"Are you still over there?" I was like, "Yeah." Are you leaving? I'm like, leaving tomorrow. Told you this 5 times.
I have not, but
Uh,
perhaps I'll call tomorrow. And
there's
not
no
just because I
K-pop
need something.
choreography without Janet.
Hmm.
I'm just like, there'd be no Britney or Beyonce without Janet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think I will say about like the Britneys, the Beyoncés, all that they acknowledge that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
They acknowledge
She's
it.
mother.
Yes, they're very clear that yeah, whatever we're doing, she did it first. Some folks these days don't like to acknowledge some young folks that let me not get old curmudgeon real quick, but yeah, she is
yeah.
Janet is mother.
yes, she's the blueprint in that type of um pop singer.
Yeah.
All right.
Ooh.
What do we got next? What are we doing next? I have to look at our thing.
That's a good question. We don't even. What's our next book for book club?
I for
I don't even think we picked one.
I thought we were gonna do Stormglass. Is it the Stormglass or Trust? I think it was
Did you?
Stormglass.
Oh, I
We
need
just
to
haven't
read
set a
that.
date yet. Yeah.
Oh, we didn't set a date. Okay, that's why it's not on my
Yeah.
calendar.
Oh no, we did. I know that's
We did?
July. Oh, Stormglass is in July. July 23rd.
Oh, I see. 23rd. Yeah.
Yeah. We haven't picked a 30 Tuesdays yet though.
Put Stormglass so I remember to read it.
Yeah.
Because
What
that
should we
would
do
be
for
Ox.
Tuesdays? Just a little bit.
Yeah, what should our next 30 Tuesday be? AK, what should our next 30 Tuesday be? The next book is Stormglass by
Jeff Wheeler.
Jeff Wheeler.
It's the first book in the Harbinger series. So good.
So you're starting me on another series. I see how it
I know.
is.
Yeah.
What are you currently reading?
Me?
Mhm.
I'm currently reading this book. Well, I'm reading several, but the one that I'm reading before sleep is called The Other Man. It is by, I'll tell you when I get my Kindle up. It's very, very good. I just finished one called, let me look these up, The Ardent Swarm by Yaman Manai. Super, super good. It starts, you think it's going to be about bumblebees and honey, and it turns out that it's about introducing an invasive species into an environment and what happens when, for the bee, what this happens with the bees, and also it happens when you introduce religious fundamentalism into
Oh.
a community and how it changes. It's fast read, very beautiful. Absolutely recommend. And let's see, The Other Man is by Farad. I can't pronounce his last name. Dadi Burjor, and it's about a man, Indian man, who is like who's being groomed to take over as CEO for his dad's company, but he's gay and his family doesn't know it yet.
Are you reading anything interesting, Mitra?
No, I just have a ton of books over here that I have not started reading yet. Although I need to get on reading. I bought the Shirley Chisholm biography that came out the top of the year. And so that's what I do want to get my life together and read. I've been trying to get through some watching right lately. So my brain can't take a lot of things at one time, but that's what I want to read next.
I am currently reading The Monsters We Defy by Leslie Penelope. It's about a woman named Clara in 1920s DC who can speak to spirits. And she gets into shenanigans. And there's like a mystery to be solved. And she has to skate between the spirit world and her world to solve it.
Oh,
so far it's very good.
Interesting.
I'm also rereading White Teeth by Zadie Smith.
I haven't read that.
Which has been very fun and strange. It's like it's literature, right? Like her sentences are delicious and just so well put together. There's a couple things I found to be a little problematic because of the way they describe Black people in London in this time, but other than that, it's I'm really kind of enjoying it. I'm taking my time with it because it feels a little heavy at times, but yeah, these other ones were quick reads, so I was like, oh. I'm gonna read a book. I was gonna The Siren's Call by Jessica Cage because she keeps coming across on my Instagram feed. She's a Black fantasy writer and has several books out. And since she keeps coming across my timeline, I was like, you know what, let me check her out. So we'll read that.
I'm also gonna start. Actually, I have her right next to me. Africa Risen. It's short stories by rising African and African American speculative fiction authors. I got it on Independent Bookstore Day. So I like to do sometimes when I've been doing stuff because I am usually reading a book on my own and then also a book for book club and then like listening to another book. And so sometimes in between, I like to do short stories. It's like a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to get into is Africa Risen, a new era of speculative fiction.
Exciting. And then I would say that me and AK are going to be in a speculative fiction writing class that starts tomorrow night.
Oh, awesome.
Speculative fiction world building, which I'm very excited about. Yeah. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
All right. I'm tired. Let's go.
Well, with that, I bid you all adieu. Thank you, Mitra, for joining us again.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, letting me wax poetic about this movie that I love.
It's so good.
Wait a minute. Jasmine Guy and Giancarlo Esposito.
Clash. What is
I might have to check that out. I've never heard of it, but I will watch anything with Giancarlo Esposito in it. So, it could be a hemorrhoid commercial, and I would watch it because it has Giancarlo Esposito.
You're hilarious. I would like to take this opportunity real quick just to say publicly, and you guys haven't agreed to this, but I know how you feel about it. Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro all day.
Agreed.
In case you wondered.
Sorry, Pacino. Sorry to that man.
We love you too, but like
De Niro. Robert De Niro.
De Niro.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
You know.
Good night.